Session 7. In-laws.
Ensure in-laws don't become outlaws.
Mom, hurry up. I'm hungry.
I am here, okay?
Michael.
Who's on the phone?
Oh, it's just Dad.
Oh, what do you want?
He's got a project going on.
Oh, cookies. Good. Not bad for store-bought.
Well, I like cookies no matter who makes them.
You know, I always had time to make cookies for my family, didn't I, Deborah?
Yes, ma'am, you sure did.
How long are you going to be staying this time?
Oh, at least a couple of weeks.
Great.
Or however long it takes to help your mother get some things around the house straightened out.
Mom, the house is not that bad.
I'm not blaming you, dear. I know you don't get a lot of help around the house. By the way, guess who I ran into last week?
Who?
Carl Johnston.
Oh, Mom.
Well, who's he?
He was your mother's boyfriend in high
I dated him a couple of times.
Was he cute?
Anyway,
I don't- well, a little, I
now
guess. I
he's a doctor. He and his wife have a simply gorgeous home, if only. Bob, are you still working at the plant or whatever it is?
Yes, Dorothy.
Still a supervisor?
Yes, Dorothy, I'm still the supervisor.
Grandma, what's in the bag?
Oh,
Is it for
Kim,
me?
now, come on, that is rude. Please.
Now, my precious little granddaughter can ask anything she likes.
Oh.
Yes, it is for you, Pumpkin.
Mom, that is too expensive.
Oh,
I
sure.
told you that you shouldn't spend that kind of money
I've
on
never
her.
wanted
Now,
to.
you promised
Not on
me.
my little granddaughter. I certainly can. Besides, I know you can't afford anything like this on his salary.
Excuse me?
Come on, let's go listen to him in
Oh,
my
that'll
room.
be fun. Yes, want to take a good? Yeah. Here we go.
Susie just got one of these, too.
She did. Well, we'll have to call her and tell her you have one.
Deb, I don't think I can take 2 weeks of that woman in my house.
Bob, that's my mother you're talking about. Where are you going?
I'm just going to go help Dad.
You're not going to leave me. You're not going to leave me here with her. I mean, she just got
Oh,
here,
come
Bob.
on, just a couple hours.
I need you here.
Well, Dad's expecting me.
Oh, well, so who is more important, me or your dad? Bob!
Well, come on, I'm the one that always gets put on the back burner
Oh,
when she
well,
comes
fine.
over.
Just go. Run away to Daddy.
Fine, I will,
Well,
and don't
good.
expect me home for dinner.
Well, fine. I won't.
In-laws or outlaws? That's the question. You know, it's interesting when you get married, you're in love with the person that's the child of your future in-laws, and vice versa. One of the issues frequently early on in marriage that seems to bring an unbelievable amount of frustration and conflict and anger and suppression and avoidance even is this whole issue of in-laws. How do you get along with the people that come with the person you married? That's the question we're dealing with on the biblical portrait of marriage. And this subject is the in-laws.
Hello there.
Good to see you.
Now, if we don't watch out, our in-laws can become our outlaws. By intrusion into our marriage, by involvement in areas that bring a great deal of conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, outlaws. When's the last time you called? Why haven't you written? And so many times young married couples say, why, they just treat us like we're children. And then in-laws, they can become outlaws when they belittle the person that you've married. Like this poor son-in-law right here. It could be worse, you know. It could be a holiday. Because holidays are ideal hideouts for outlaws. When the question is, well, who's coming to dinner this year? how do you and I handle the subject of in-laws so they do not become outlaws? Well, the most important passage to start with is obviously in the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 24. And it says, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." We've discussed this earlier in the series, but the big idea is, before there's marriage, there's two homes, and the two, young man and young woman, are a part of those families, and they've become children and then young adults. But the moment they become married, there is a responsibility, a command, that they are to leave their parents, to start a third home that never existed before, and they're to stop cleaving to their parents, and they're to cleave to their spouse. Therefore, part of the issue about in-laws is they have to leave. Don't stay in the house. Don't stay there all the time. Leave. Leave. Physically. Leave emotionally. And cleave. What would be the word in the Bible you would use to describe everything from the moment you stepped out of that household? Well, let me take a look at a couple passages in the Bible with you. The first one is Exodus chapter 20, verse number 12. It's a part of the Ten Commandments. And it says, "Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God is giving you." Therefore, the issue is to honor. That's repeated in Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 16, where it says, "Honor your father and your mother as the Lord your God has commanded you, that your days may be long, and that it may be well with you in the land which the Lord your God is giving you." Leviticus chapter 19, verse number 32, has a very interesting observation. "You shall rise before the gray-headed and honor the presence of an old man, and fear your God. I am the Lord." You shall rise before the gray-headed and honor the presence of an old man. Honor. Respect. I was talking to a man who recently went overseas, and he said, "I got on the bus in a foreign country." He was about 72, 73. All of his hair was white. And he said the most remarkable thing is the whole bus was filled with people, and I was a guest in their land. He said, "I walked in, and he said about a third of the bus stood to their feet for me to sit in their seat." Honor. Dignity. Another verse that comes to my mind is Leviticus chapter 20, verse 9. "For everyone who curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. He has cursed his father or his mother, his blood shall be upon him." Utter honor, utter respect. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 9, just getting the mind of Christ for yourself. "Furthermore, we have had human fathers who corrected us, and we paid them respect. Shall we not much more readily be in subjection to the Father of spirits and live?" Therefore, as you think about what should be my thoughts about my parents and about my spouse's parents, I am to leave them, I am to cleave. But how then should I act in return? Answer, leave, cleave, honor, respect. Nowhere in the Bible will you find the Bible saying, if your parents or in-laws deserve your honor, give it to them. Nowhere does it say, if they've earned your respect, then respect them. The command has nothing to do with the behavior of the parents or the in-laws. It is simply, don't you dare swear at them. Show them honor. Give them respect. Why? That's what I've commanded. They are your parents, and because of that relationship, whether they never earn it or not is irrelevant. How they behave is irrelevant to you. You cannot control them. All you and I can control is how I respond to them. And my response must be to honor, to give respect. Those words in the Hebrew and the Greek language in the Old New Testament mean to hold in esteem, to revere, to bow before, to give deference, to give respect. stand up. But the question is, how do you do that when you're supposed to leave? And they say to you, come here every weekend. That tension, then, between leaving and cleaving and honor and respect is the subject of the night. How does it go together? It appears to me that there are seasons in a marriage when you must define what honor looks like, what respect looks like. Ultimately, it's the couple going back to the in-laws. I'm responsible to give honor and dignity to my parents and honor and dignity to my wife Darlene's parents. How do I do that? This isn't their job. It's my job. It's my wife's job. We'll go back a little bit to before I was married. Stage 1. Stage 2, early marriage. Stage 3, middle marriage, when you have your children. Stage 4, older marriage to the point they die, and then their death. I think if you go back over here to stage number 1, before I leave home and cleave home, it's very clear what I'm supposed to do. Obey your parents in all things. Therefore, the word that comes to my mind here is obey them in all things. Whether I agree with them or not, I am to obey them. When I leave, that moment of marriage, I'm in early marriage, before there's children. And this is this point of time when I'm trying to break away from them. I'm trying to break away from them. Why? I've been connected to them all my life. I haven't known another person to cleave to. I love my mother, my father, my brothers, my sisters, my relatives. All those people have all these connections to me and my spouse. And the second section is I'm supposed to leave them and cleave to them. And therefore this issue is going from obedience more to being independent here. I'm very dependent here. I have to get free here. I must become, if you can say it this clearly, I must have left. I must have left. My spouse has to have left. Past tense. I left. Not I'm still leaving. I've left. And if this is dependence, this is independence. And sometimes parents won't let you. With honor and with dignity, you may have to move out of the state for a while if they won't let you get independent. And if you talk to many married couples, you'd be surprised at how many do that. Do you know why they do that? Because their parents and in-laws didn't do their part in leaving, letting them go. See, when you're raising your children, you are responsible. And the second that person walks out of your house, he's responsible. And it's an area of control, going this way and wanting to be independent from that control, but yet to honor and dignity. And it's that conflict of control and independence. So this is dependence and obedience. Early marriage, no children. Get free. Then that middle part of marriage, where you start having children, if God blesses your household with them, from about your 25 to about your 45 in there, somewhere, you have children. And that then changes, because all of a sudden, your parents and in-laws become grandparents. And they forget who you are. And all of a sudden, your pictures come out of their wallet and purse, and they have these long sheets of pictures of the grandbabies doing everything. It's like you never lived. And they want to see them more than they even want to see you. Just drop her off. We'll take her. But you come get her tomorrow night. She's all yours. You take her home. So this issue in the middle here. Now, this moves then from dependence to independence. But when that independence is freed, then that middle part is interdependence. It's when you are a separate family, but now you're going to be together, but as separates, rather than you're still one of us. Interdependent. Interdependent. And this is where the couple sets herself separate from their in-laws. This is where that finally builds a brand new home with children. And all of a sudden, this has got a new set of transitions. This is two people dealing with two sets of parents This is a whole family who has to have their own vacations with their own children and with their own Christmas shows and their own turkeys and, whoa, boy, real challenges, is there not? But you used to always come to our house over Christmas holidays. How come you didn't want to come this year? Did we do something wrong? Control. No, nothing wrong. We love to come, but we feel like we need to have our own Christmas. How many of you know exactly what I'm talking about? Oh, yeah. So much. We all know this one. And guess what? As soon as you hang up the phone here, they're calling you here. Yes, we know. We understand. We should be coming. But this year, I think we'll do it ourselves. Can you honor and do that? If you don't, you'll have troubles. But you know, as your children grow older and the grandparenting, they grow older. As you go from 25 to 45, they go from 45 to 65. And they're not the same. They're the same people, but they're a lot slower. And they want to sit a little bit more. And this next stage in your older marriage is where you have to change from being dependent on them to them being dependent on you. And that's how it happens every time. As your kids, 20 to 45, as you get in there, guess what? They get on their own, and God timed it just perfectly. As they're on their way out, your parents are needing you to take leadership. You have to become the leader. You have to have control. Mom, you can't do that. Mom, trust me. Mom, you can't. You can't go ice skating. You're 83. So as they struggled to leave control here, and you're in control here of your family, you now have to, whether you feel comfortable about it or they do, eventually the day will come when the roles have to be reversed. And as they provided for you, the Bible says you are to provide for them. As they took care of you when you couldn't take care of yourself, you're to take care of them when they can't take care of themselves. And that same argument and frustration, I want to do it on my own. Where am I? I'll be there someday. Some days I'm already there. So this issue of being in control, the full cycle comes around. And guess what? When you're about wrapping up and your parents have hit glory, you find the couch very comfortable. And your kids start to have grandkids, and you want them, and you're pulling out the pictures, and lo and behold, your kids are starting to say, Dad, you can't do that anymore. You can't chop wood for an hour. What do you mean I can't chop wood for an hour? Sure I can. So, honoring has different seasons, and how you honor in the different seasons, you must take into account. Next point. What seems to be the consistent things in this honoring of, respecting of, that breaks things apart? Because if you study these different series, you'll find that if there's problems with in-laws, there's 1 of 5 problems, and that's it. And if you know what they are, if you happen to be the adult at this point and your kids are married, these are the 5 problems you're going to have trouble with, and just look on the other side, and these are the same problems they're going to have with you. So if you can ever hear what they are, figure out how to work them, you could be never called outlaws, but always in-laws. Let's name them for you. Number one problem that happens over and over again is reality, is the issue of reality. What has to take place is, somewhere in the early stages, the children have to see you as a person, not as a parent. Even abusive parents, by their children, are up on a pedestal. They are. their dad, their mom. And somewhere in this transition, there must be the movement from a parent to people, from adult to child, from parenting to I'm not parenting anymore. And there must also be the realization that in the reality issue, my parents made some mistakes, I think. That's a traumatic moment for a child, an adult child. We were talking to somebody last few weeks, big problems leaving. Pedestal problem, reality check. Did your problem in a long walk Darlene and I had with this person, did your parents make a mistake? No. They'll never be able to leave. They'll never be able to cleave. Yes, they did. I know your parents. Want me to tell you a few mistakes? No, they didn't. Yes, they did. They're people. I make mistakes. Millions of them. Your parents made mistakes. Your parents probably did some things beyond a mistake. They probably sinned sometimes with you. No doubt. And you in your heart of hearts were wounded by them. And you have parts of your life that are buried so deep because how could your mom do that to you? How could your dad do that to you? But they did. And there's a root in the reality check called wounds that I covered over. Because we don't want to admit our parents were wrong and that they hurt us. But unless, my friends, the hurt is thought about, yes, they did. They did it right here. That hurt. And you know what's also there? Unforgiveness. Oh. And there's never been an exception. Children can't cope with the fact that their parents didn't always do right. And somewhere along in here, when I counsel couples, so many times you start pulling at, why is there conflict all the time and overreaction? You keep pulling on the thread, wondering where it is going to lead to, and leads way down into a heart of a wound when that child was 8. And they can tell you what happened. The moment it happened. How could my dad have done that? And they weep. They'll weep 40 years later. Like it was yesterday. And if you're the parent and you know those moments, you have to bring them up. Oh! So painful. Because who among us wants to make mistakes with our kids or bring wounds to them? I have. You have. And if you see in your children who are now married incorrect behavior that you can't figure out, when you say hi, they go, ow! There's a reaction that's not right. You just take for granted from a friend here. There's a wound that's still open and it's infected. Unforgiveness. Reality, they're people. Number 2, second big reason there's big conflicts with in-laws and outlaws is because of an issue not of reality but of loyalty. Oh, another tough one. That you would die for your family, and your family would die for you. They're the most wonderful people in the world. They're not perfect, but they're wonderful. Then all of a sudden there's another person here. And you've been with these people for 20-some years. You've been with this person maybe months and maybe a couple of years, and all of a sudden they're going to take you away? No, come with me. Be a part of our family. Got that? Come be a part of my family. No, it won't work. You know what happens? Because we love our families, we must realize loyalties have to be changed. The loyalty you and I have toward our parents must remain. We don't become less loyal to them. We become more loyal to the person we've married. Which means never again side with your parents, even if they're right. Never again. You are loyal to the person you married. Number 1 choice. You move your emotions from them to her or to him. And this idea when conflict comes up, I'm going home. I am home. That isn't home. That says you haven't switched loyalties and you didn't leave. And you're not cleaving, and that's why you're going home, because you're sitting in two areas. Loyalty. You're on this team. And this team is having a winning season. It's easy to be on this team. But it's not very easy when you're having a lousy season. But don't go back to the old one. It doesn't exist anymore. Number one, reality. Number two, loyalty. Number three, oh my, authority. Who is the boss? Great conflict in the issue of control. Because before a person is married in stage one, when they are dependent, the authority is father and mother of this home. And they've been giving commands all their life. And as you get older, they're giving less commands, hopefully, and more counsel. But they've been the controlling factor from that point on. And then all of a sudden, here comes this young man who does still wet behind the ears with this young girl who, is she getting married? She looks like she's 10. How could she possibly get married? And this whole issue of control. Who tells? Big conflict. You see it all over. When the young man goes back to his to his wife's home, you'll see it all times happen over and over again, where the woman separates from the man and becomes daughter. It's because of a loyalty problem. Then she's never daughter again. Or when they go over to his house and he talks with the family and she's by herself, that's a loyalty issue. You're not son, you're husband. But when you go and they come to your house and the mother-in-law or the mother comes into the kitchen and starts telling the woman of the house what to do, do not allow it for a moment. Break it with honor and with respect. And simply say, Mom, this is my kitchen, and I like the bowls here. But in this home back here, listen carefully, who's the boss in this home? The man and then the wife. You come back home, this is very helpful. You come back to their home, and when you're in their home, you are in their home. But when they come into your home, they are in your home, and they need to do it your way. It took us in our marriage a long time to figure that out. Because how are we going to do it? Because they did it all their life this way. So we come to their house and we do it their way. But now when they come to our house, what way are we going to do it? Well, for years we did it their way until I didn't like that at all. And neither did she, but I didn't know what it meant till I began to realize, no, wait a minute. We are the leaders in this home, and they are our guests. So we go to later church in our home, and in their home, we go to early church. And we eat this kind of food in their home, and we eat this kind of food in our home. And we do this for fun there, and we play this game with these rules. And we play the same game with these rules in this side. And the conflict used to be that I thought that we'd come over here and we'd play their game with my rules in their house. Boy, did that ever, the house rules. Did that ever let things relax? All of a sudden, depends whose house on. And in your house, you're the boss. And if you want to go to bed tonight, turn off the TV, fine, it's your house. But in my house, don't tell me what to do. I'll honor you, but... So authority. Now, every single mother-in-law wants to deal with their daughter as the daughter. Every single mother-in-law and father-in-law wants to control this young man who doesn't know what he's doing. So what has to happen? There'll be some conflict. If you can say, let's talk about how we're going to honor you. And this is the way, in our house, in our life, the way we'll do it. Just last week, we had some friends saying to our children, they couldn't wait to go away on vacation with their mom and dad, but if their in-laws came, we're not going. And the question was, why not? Because last year they came and they told us everything to do and we didn't have a good time. Whose fault was that? Answer, the husband of the young family. Because it was his role to stand up and say, I appreciate the fact you want to do these 5 things today, and we want to play at the pool. We're going to play at the pool on our vacation, and you can do your 5 things if you don't want to come to the pool. Somewhere along that, the wife has to break it with the mother-in-law and has to break it with the mother and say, Mom, no. And Mrs. Such and Such, no. There is that breaking spot. Who's the boss? Answer, it depends where you are, but there's got to be that break. Number 1, reality. Number 2, loyalty. Number 3, authority. Number 4, priority is an issue of what's more important. What's more important? This takes place on the whole issue of vacations and holidays. Are you coming to our house on December 20th or 21st this year? Well, this in-laws are saying, are you coming to our house on the 20th or 21st? And ultimately, there needs to be that transition where their needs can be first for a while, but the transition has to be the couple, and then it has to be the children, and it may be then that you, not your in-laws or your parents, you set the priorities. I know you would love to have us at Christmas. This year we can't be with you at Christmas. We will see you at Thanksgiving. The in-laws aren't responsible because they have no authority. They ask. But it's a young couple's job to say, thank you. Don't be hurt. We're just going to be together ourselves. You have to set it yourself. Tell them ahead of time. At the end of this year, we're going to her parents' house for Christmas. The following year, we're going on our own. The following Christmas is yours. Count on it. Everybody relax. They know my day's coming. And number 5. Number 5 and last. This is kind of more of an advanced idea. I think when people really work well with in-laws, it's an issue of dignity. That there is a valuing of the older generation by the upcoming generation, and that the customs and the traditions and the way the family does it in that generation is honored rather than criticized. So that when they bring their kids over to grandma's house, grandpa's house, and grandpa starts telling the story about the war again, that the man of the house says, boy, I like hearing the story, because he honors the story. And grandma makes Scotch dressing for the turkeys. And that's a part of who grandma is. So in this house, they don't make Scotch stuffing. That's grandma's thing. And there's the honoring that keeps going, and the customs. And as the parents get older, there's more and more questions in front of the children, and honoring, and being with. Because in the early part of the marriage, the in-laws are initiating everything, then they become kind of unsure of themselves in the middle, and at the end, they become insecure, and they want you to come to them. It's that change of giving dignity. When you boil it all down, I guess you could say it's doing unto others what you'd have them to do unto you. Because as you and I treat our in-laws and our parents, our kids are watching us. And when we're older, that which we have done will be modeled again. So in conclusion then, the issue is to be separate from your parents, to be your own person. To be separate from. To be independent. In conclusion, wait a minute. Who's got the phone going? What is this? We're being taped. Doug, what is this? Hello? Oh, no. Who gave you this number? Mom, we're coming up this weekend. It's my mom.
Deb!
In the kitchen. Hi.
Hi.
Back awful early, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, don't worry, Bob. Mom's not here. She took Kim to get some new shoes. Now, before you say anything, Bob, I want you to know that it wasn't...
It's okay. Really. She wants to get stuff for the kids, that's fine. Lord knows we could use the help.
Really? What made you change your mind?
Well, I was talking to Dad, and he said I probably ought to come home and you and I should talk. And I realized I was wrong.
What about the project?
Dad said that could wait.
Your dad, he's a smart man.
Yeah. Your mom. Still here?
Bob. I love you.